Hey gang, welcome to the first episode of Devall's Flea Market Finds. Now I promised this show a long time ago, and I shot an episode of it and was never ever happy with how it turned out. So I figured there's more flea markets coming. Why rush something, right? That's right. I got some awesome finds for you today. Check this out. Mad Scientists Dissect an Alien playset. Now, this was a very cool line from Mattel, and I've looked at the Mad Scientist Monster Lab once before when we did that new toy smell a long time ago. But the Mad Scientist Dissect an Alien is really cool. It was complete. It had its little vinyl playmat, which was kind of neat. Kind of got some good graphics on it. It also had, of course, the scalpel to cut open the alien. I'm just kidding, it's just plastic. It had the instruction manual, which I actually didn't find until I got ready to shoot this. I missed it. It was in the bottom of the box. And the instruction manual was really cool because it actually has a little mini comic inside before you get to the actual instructions for the dissecting alien. So that was kind of neat. And of course, last but not least, the actual dissecting alien himself, along with all his body parts and his little rubber stitch that closes him up when you're done. Now, the only thing he didn't have was the alien blood, which I'm sure dried out a long time ago. But all it really was slime, and you can pretty much get slime anywhere these days, or make your own. So, all in all, a nice little find. Now, those of you that listen to Dave and Devall's Toys and Collectibles or Married to the Collection on ToyWorldOrder.com know that I have an extreme and possibly dangerous obsession with Worlds of Wonder and the products they've released throughout the 80s. One of the products that they had released that I'd started to find was the Tiny Boppers, which were little miniaturized versions of the characters, stuffed characters that you put 4 AA's in, turn them on, and they would react to music, and they dance and bop around. And I found a Teddy Ruxpin a long time ago, and then on this recent one I found Donald Duck. It's pretty neat. Problem is, put 4 batteries in and turned him on. He worked for about 2 seconds and then stopped. So guess what Devall gets to do? Devall gets to cut this little guy open and find out what makes him tick. And wash him while I'm at it, because he's pretty friggin' disgusting. But, cool little find. Spent $3 on him. Now, one of the things I'm always amazed to find at flea markets is Generation 1 Transformers. And a lot of times you'll find at either flea markets or garage sales and stuff like that, some people know what they have and some people don't. Well, I found a little area that a gentleman had a box full of them labeled G1 Transformers. And I found not one, but 2 interesting things in there. One of the interesting things I found was an actual Generation 1 cup. Didn't have his weapon, so if anyone out there has an extra cup weapon, hook a Devall up. But in really nice shape. The stickers are in really nice shape. Nothing too beat up here. Won't have to get anything from repro labels for this little guy. And the identification sticker on him still works. That was cool find number 1 at that booth. Cool find number 2 was something I'd been looking for a long time. You see, I'd been trying to piece together the GoBots puzzler for probably the better part of, well, childhood, since I really only had one piece, which was one of his arms. I managed to find his body and both of his legs at previous flea markets or garage sales of the past couple of years. The one piece that seemed to escape me every time, especially on the eBays, was Jigsaw, was the actual middle part, the body. And I happened to find him in this bin. Now the guy had this nice little Jigsaw in there and cup, and he had them labeled G1 Transformers, $10. Now, cup I'll pay $10 for. A GoBot, even though he's part of Puzzler, and I really need him, no way was I about to pay $10 for a GoBot, unless it's a really rare GoBot. And this not so much, although I have seen him go on eBay for some ridiculous prices, like $20. I'm a cheap bastard, I'm sorry, what can I say? So I managed to go, I'll tell you what, like, I gave you 10 bucks for both of them because that's a Transformer and that's a GoBot. And I'm not paying 10 bucks for a GoBot. To my luck, the guy said, sure, I'll do that. Took my 10 bucks. I got my two transforming robots. One a Transformer, one a GoBot. And the cool thing is with Puzzler is I'm actually one piece away from finishing the actual Puzzler figure, which is kind of neat. I just need the Lamborghini arm. That's all I need. That's all I need. Now, occasionally you'll find a lot of mint and package figures, which is always a nice thing. And one of the mint and package figures I found was this awesome RoboCop from Kenner for a whole whopping $5. Now, I always wanted RoboCop, and I think I had RoboCop when I was a kid, but I don't ever remember what happened to him. It was a great line though, because it had backpacks that were actually cap firing backpacks. So it came with 2 rolls of caps, which are still in here, of course, mint and package. Still debating on whether or not I'm going to open RoboCop and display him, because he actually, I mean, this was a cool line from Kenner. You know, very underappreciated, not a lot of love, but a very short-lived line with a handful of characters. You know, I think there was 2 waves. Makes it pretty easy to collect this set if you want, and prices are pretty cheap on the eBays, but you know, you never know what you'll find shopping around flea markets these days. Stuffed animals are always a find for us, and a few shows ago we found 4 of the 5 Mickey's Christmas Carol releases from McDonald's, and I want to say those were released in 1984-85, and I'm not 100% sure on that. But the one we were missing this entire time was Uncle Scrooge. Could never find Uncle Scrooge. We found Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Minnie, never Uncle Scrooge. Well, luckily today while we were out, we happened upon good old Uncle Scrooge. So, dropped 2 quarters and brought him home, and with that, he helps complete the Mickey's Christmas Carol collection we have of these little stuffed guys. So now, all 5 have a home. I talked about mint and package figures with RoboCop, but one of the other things I found that I don't see a whole lot of, very rarely. I find a lot of these loose at shows and flea markets. Never really find one in a box. But I found Braveheart Lion from Care Bears, the Care Bear cousins actually, in his box with his original little booklet attached to his left hand. And I don't ever see these, and I jumped at it, especially when the guy had a $10 price tag on it. I'll pay 10 bucks for this all day long. But the box is a little beat up, but then again, it's pretty much just flimsy cardboard that is holding him into this package. So a very neat find and another Care Bear to add to my growing stuffed Care Bear collection. What can I say? My tastes are eclectic at best. Now, one of the most, I want to say, beloved episodes that Pixel Dan and myself ever did of That New Toy Smell was one that we really, I don't want to say regretted, but hated the item that we did for that episode. And that episode featured the Disney Town Square playset. I've been missing one major piece of that collection for a long time. And the many times that I've bid on it on eBay, I've either lost it by a couple bucks or the auction has been closed before it even ends, which always frustrates me. And luckily, under a table, I found the Town Square trolley with horse and driver, which was really the last major piece of that I need. Sad thing is I have 2 Town Square playsets now, one that's never been opened and the other one that we used in that review. So maybe one of these days I'll find the space large enough to actually put up a board, put it all together, and display it permanently. I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's wishful thinking. But this is a really cool piece and one of those really hard to get pieces. So that actually completes everything I need for the Disney Town Square playset. Thank God I can sleep at night. Board games have been a fascination of mine now for the last couple of years, especially licensed and 3-dimensional board games. Now, I've got a lot of older board games that I always think are really cool because they've got great art, great boards, great pieces, and they look really cool. And one of the ones I forgot that they made that I actually had as a kid and didn't remember until I saw it again under a table at a show was the Smurfs 3-dimensional board game. And it's a very neat little game because once you put it all together and get it all sorted out, you can basically take one of 4 different Smurf pawns, you can play up to 4 players, and walk around the board collecting food for the rest of the Smurfs. But beware, of Azrael, because if Azrael gets you, pretty much game over for you. But very, very neat and a cool little 3D board game. So again, the closet of board games is getting more and more full, and I keep finding really cool board games to bring home, and Carrie continues to get more and more frustrated with the board game fantasy. So, what do you do? And lastly, one of the other things that I actually started purchasing because of my wonderful wife Carrie was lunchboxes, because we'll go to these shows and she'll find really, really cool lunchboxes for really cheap. And what started it all was a metal lunchbox from the Muppets, and since then my lunchbox collection has actually grown quite a bit. And of course, surprise, surprise, because I'm me, I stick mostly to licensed 80s properties or late 70s. I kind of stay away from the movie stuff, but anything animated I can find, I will jump at. And two of them I actually found. One was the awesome Mask plastic lunchbox, which had some really awesome, cool, great art on the front, and it had its thermos. How cool is that? You can't beat it. Seriously, you find lunchboxes with thermoses and they're licensed and they're in really, really, really good shape like this one, dude, you jump at that. And of course, my other great love in toy collecting has always been Bravestar, and I'm only maybe 2 pieces away from completing a mint in box collection of the complete series. And there's always odds and ends that I'll be out looking for or see, and I'll pick up for Bravestar. One of them I hadn't seen in a long time and hadn't picked up yet was the awesome Marshall Bravestar lunchbox, and it has some really, really cool artwork on the front of the Filmation animated series, as well as on the thermos, which this actually had never been used. It's still got the thermos paperwork inside of it, so that's always a plus. And especially, I found it on a table, and everything on the table, actually Carrie found it on a table, and everything on that table was $1. I paid $1 for a never used Marshall Bravestar lunchbox, and the sticker on the front's got a little bit of creasing and some scratches, slight scratches on it for just probably being toted around and transported everywhere. But 2 awesome lunchboxes, 2 amazing 80s properties, 2 beautiful looking fronts. You really, really, really can't pass that deal up. So there you go, gang. That wraps up all the purchases that I found on this excursion of Devall's Flea Market Finds. Now stay tuned. These episodes will pop up from time to time as we continue on the amazing summer of flea markets. So keep an eye out, because there'll be new episodes and new finds, and you never know what old Devall here is going to come home with. So stay tuned, gang, and make sure you check out all the great reviews, podcasts, and more at toyworldorder.com. And until next time, gang, keep playing with your toys.